Muito boa noite. Este podcast começa de uma forma que ainda nunca antes nenhum havia começado. Estamos a segundos de receber aquela que é neste momento a voz do Motogp, aquele senhor que nos entra pela nossa casa e que nos deixa agarrados, completamente vidrados ao nosso ecrã, e, e por isso também começa de uma forma especial. Especial também porque a linguagem que vamos usar vai ser em inglês, vamos utilizar a língua inglesa para comunicar com o Simon. De outra forma seria bastante mais complicado, mesmo utilizando o espanhol ou tudo mais, e nesse sentido peço-vos obviamente a compreensão, para quem não consegue entender o inglês, que compreendam que tem que ser desta forma. Depois do Simon, do Simon terminar, contamos ter aqui à volta de uma horinha, portanto temos que ser mesmo muito sucintos e sintéticos com o Simon, e nesse sentido, depois dessa hora com o Simon, iremos continuar nós, os da casa, a fazer como um debrief sobre o que o Simon disse, também para ajudar a quem não percebe tão bem o inglês, para os ajudar a compreender melhor aquilo que o Simon foi dizendo. Deixo-vos o repto que, durante o podcast, ou se preferirem já mesmo na parte final, que coloquem as vossas questões ao Simon. Vamos dar-vos essa oportunidade. O Simon também já nos disse que não tem problema, que podem colocar as vossas questões. Nós iremos, obviamente, selecionar talvez menos do que uma mão cheia, porque o tempo é escasso, mas iremos pô-las no ar e o Simon fará então os seus reparos e as suas noções, dará-vos a conhecer então as respostas dele. Portanto, malta, não vos vou fazer esperar mais. Vamos subir a tela, apagar as luzes e lançar então aí esse que é o melhor genérico de sempre. Vamos fechar o ano em grande. Acima de tudo, divirtam-se. Para nós é viver o sonho e espero que para vocês também seja uma hora bastante divertida. Até já, malta.
Okay, we are live?
We are live.
Okay. Welcome, Simon.
Hey there, guys. Good to meet you all.
Okay, Simon. We are talking before you join us in the videocast. We are talking about the thrill and the emotion that all of our three guys, me, Rui, and Tose, were feeling. You know, you are like the Mr. Motogp, and you know this is like a dream for us for making this videocast with you is like a dream come true. It's mind blowing. So don't worry, we are a little bit nervous, but we have nice questions for you.
Hey guys, I want to put you at ease and say that I just love bikes like you do, and I hate, I don't know if I can say it on here, but the abbreviation is the BS. I just like it straight, how it really is, and I love our sport. So there's no need to be, just like you guys, so there's no need to be nervous at all.
Okay, so
I should be the nervous one.
let's try to relax. Okay, you met Tosé and you met Rui, and I'm António. I'm the guy that was emailing you, bothering you with please, Simon, do you want to come to our videocast? We are just regular guys. We do have regular professions. We are not riders. We just ride motos on Sunday, and all weeks at Monday we talk about MotoGP. This is our purpose, our mission. And our mission is to promote MotoGP in Portugal and talk about MotoGP. We don't have 10 riders like Spain or other countries like Italy. So
but
we
you have a really good one.
Yeah, we have a really good one, and we'll talk about it. Saying this, I would like Rui to say welcome to Simon, and I'd like Tosé to say welcome to Simon. They have some words for you.
Well, I'm Rui, and I'm a huge fan of Honda. I'm the guy that everybody's beating now.
Everybody You're the one crying lately.
I'm now the guy that was so happy during many years, and now I'm the guy that is always crying. Well, life it's like this. And Simon, I can tell you one thing: you will be talking with the best fans of MotoGP here in our channel. I can guarantee to you that the guys that are listening this talking, it's people that are really fanatic for the MotoGP, and in their names I welcome you to Portugal.
Thank you, Rui. Thank you, buddy.
Simon, we have already a lot of comments saying the welcomes to you, Mr. Simon. I said Sir Simon Crafar. For me, it's a big pleasure because all year long, every week's a lot times in a week, you came into my house, you enter into my house through the PC or the television, and it's just amazing to be here with you and do some questions and share some thoughts.
I hope I don't disappoint you. So
no, you don't.
No, you don't.
I will pass all the video cast with that smile because I'm on clouds. Just that.
Awesome, guys. Awesome.
So. For the start, of course, we want to hear your thoughts about the championship, about the present and the future of the championship. But before that, I want you to make a little brief presentation of Simon Crafar. I don't know. I think there's anyone else at home that don't know who is Simon Crafar, but I think it's an honor to give you that moment for us.
Okay. Basically, I have loved motorcycles since 10 years old. Like I learned to ride a TS 185. A farm bike would have been the 70s farm bike. And basically, as soon as I learned to ride that, I just didn't stop hassling my father, for a bike. He's horses, a blacksmith, makes shoes to fit on horses, so I could have 3 horses. And poor old dad, I was going, dad, I need a bike. So eventually he gave in. I rode dirt bikes, motocross, got to a reasonable level to where a motorcycle shop wanted to sponsor me to race motocross and an apprenticeship. So I started my motorcycle mechanic apprenticeship, which I did 5 years, which I think helps now. And it was helped all the way. But basically, soon after that, I went to road. 15 years old, I got a road bike and Suzuki RG250. Before they went RGV, the inline twins one. Anyway, I I got in about 5 years to get to New Zealand Championship. Then that got me out of New Zealand. I went to Japan, Malaysia, rode Japan for half a season, Malaysia for 1.5, UK, and I did one season in the UK, and I saw the World Championship. I did 3 World Superbike rounds, and my heart was set on that. Once I saw the factory machines and riders and circuits, that's all I wanted to do, and made it in 93. So basically 93, rode anything I could in World Championship for nothing, just to get in there. And so I rode 250s, World Superbikes, 250 GP, World Superbike, and 500 Grand Prix just as fill-in, whatever I could. And 94 on, I did World Superbikes, got a full-time ride. I got 5th in the championship my first year. I rode, I must be 95, 96, 97. So 4 years in World Superbikes, and I got offered a 500 ride, which obviously I said yes. And that's where I had my, my best years were 97 World Superbike, 98, 500. And that race, that was the only one I won in the big class. But I think my dream always was to ride those beautiful factory machines, and Dad didn't have to pay. That was my dream.
Congratulations for that.
I didn't even realize that they paid me when I got there. So so I could say my dream come true. Yeah.
Okay, we prepare some photos of that special occasion of that of your victory and your career in the 500. I have some words, and I just want you to listen and then just share with us what the feeling that little video gives to you right now, today, after so many years. Okay, just 1 second, I will put right now in the air.
Muy contento, ¿eh? Ahí está Crafar, que curiosamente se parece muchísimo a Paco Latorre, ¿eh? Que es el que le está entrevistando, ¿eh?
Conseguem ouvir?
Sim.
Thing to a home GP. I've got a lot of family and that make the trip, and a lot of friends in Australia, and it was like a win for me, really. Mick was in a class of his own. You saw he was gone from the start. I couldn't believe it. But the scrap I had with Alex, the 2 Alexes, and Abe was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I left myself a lot of work to do with the bad start and a few mistakes with Max. But I'm really happy. One other thing, the tyres, it felt like mine went off quick earlier, but then stayed the same. And then once the others went down on the tyre, I could go forward again. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much.
Crafar, que hoy ha sido todo un coloso, decía hoy arropado aquí por sus amigos australianos, arropado también por su familia, que viene en Nueva Zelanda, y sin duda una carrera fantástica, y por tercera vez ha subido al cajón. Ha sido primero, segundo y tercero esta temporada. Primero en Donington, segundo aquí en Australia, tercero en el circuito holandés.
You chose the right one. That is.
I know. Just tell me what you think, because I think the Simon in that video is the same person that I listen every week in my house. It's amazing. You're humble. It's amazing. It's the same person.
I really fondly remember that race because of what I was saying there. I couldn't actually remember all the guys I was fighting, so it was good to listen to me list them there. But I remember what a great fight it was, having to... I know I qualified on the front row, but I got a bad start and ended up... basically, it was on the first 2 rows, but I ended up 7th off the start, and half the race, I was still 7th. I know I couldn't remember who it was, but I just said I had some trouble getting past Max Biaggi. And the fight that I had with Abe, and the one I really remember was with the two Alexes, Crivier and Barros. It was a proper scrap. The three of us were together. And having that race and fight with guys that I classed then as my heroes, you know, they're all legends, you know, and I got to fight with them and come through. It was just an amazing feeling. And that's at Donington, standing on the podium with Abe and Mick. So the one in Australia, although I didn't win it, it was my most enjoyable race, you know, fighting my heroes and passing them, but also standing on the podium afterwards and looking down and getting to see my family, because it was in Australia that made the short flight from New Zealand, which is probably a 3-hour flight. And so I saw my grandparents, my aunties, uncles, sister, you know, mum and dad, which
anyone
was extra cool.
Any one of them in that picture? No.
Only my wife, which is right in the middle. The guy on the left is
to guess that.
technician. Yeah.
Simon, I would like to ask you one thing. My favorite track of the championship, it's Phillip Island. How it is to ride in Phillip Island?
Wow, that you guys have nailed it again. That is also why it's my best memory, because that circuit, when I first went there, it was in '89. So I guess I was at 21, and to race there the first time was intimidating, you know, because I hadn't done such fast corners. Like, that's got probably 3 corners that you're kind of going in or through at around 200 kilometers an hour. And I went away from the first visit there doubting that I could do it, you know, because I was like, this is scary shit.
You
get
need
it
balls.
wrong.
You need balls over there.
You need practice and feel, and otherwise it's going to go wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And then that race, to do it, to put it together, and how I always put it is, motorcycle races or motorcyclists always dream of sliding at 200 kilometers an hour, right?
Yeah,
we always dream about that. I mean, 200 kilometers an hour. I got to do it that day, you know, and be in control. And so when I realized that it was something special, you know, that day. One other thing is that, you know, it when it's so close to going wrong and you're going to get hurt, you know, that's why it's so difficult to get those corners, because you can't just throw yourself at it. You've got to build up. That's why it's so rewarding. It's like anything in life, you know, something's really difficult. When you achieve it, it's extra rewarding. I think that's why Phillip Island felt so good to get second there.
And Simon, with this first part, and with the feeling that you give to the words, because I think it's one of the best things that you have, it's the feeling that you give on the words. I would like to ask you, how do you become a journalist of Dorna, and the position that you have now on the paddock to explain all the tech talk and everything? I don't know if it is because of the way you speak, the way you do the wah and the bup, bup, bup. So tell us, because that's one of the, look, there is a guy on Motogp that I miss a lot. And when I say a lot, it's a lot. It's Nick Harris. Of course, everybody is missing Nick. And after him, I see in you a little bit of the human part and the feeling that you pass from the bikes to us that are at home listening and viewing the race. I would like to ask you, how did you become on the position that you are now on MotoGP?
Okay. I got basically after racing, I became a Olin's technician, so worked because I had the mechanical ability. I could already change fork seals and, from being a motorcycle mechanic, and did them on my dirt bikes regularly. I just thought it was a natural progression, I'll put it another way. As a technician, I saw myself going, there's a huddle of people in the garage all the time, and it's like the crew chief, the rider, the tire technician, the suspension technician, the computer guys, and maybe a team manager or someone listening in. But that huddle, I've been in it for a decade or so it was easy for me to go sideways from rider to suspension technician. I just had to get the knowledge on their product. So I went to, I know I'm getting off track here, but
No.
I really
track.
enjoyed that job. And the problem was that at that stage, new babies turn up. And when you have a job that is so much time away, it is not good, And my wife in Andorra, we'd chosen to stay in Andorra. And I always thought after racing I would go back to New Zealand, we thought. But we both really enjoyed here, and if my wife was happy here, I thought that gives me the opportunity to work in Europe with bikes. I can't really do that in New Zealand. It's too small. And so the problem was I got out then because when the kids were small, and that was the main reason. Then I thought I would never go back into the MotoGP paddock just because I was out, I built my own thing, Moto Voodoo, the school, teaching on track.
Yeah.
And one day I got an email from Dorna, a journalist at Dorna, saying, next time you're at a GP, please let us know. We'd like to make a video. It was that historic video, Mick, Doohan and I fighting for pole, my race win, a couple of things like that. And so I said, yeah, sure. I happened to go to Silverstone. I did the videos with them. Didn't think anything else. They came out. And then not long after they'd come out, I get another email saying, maybe it was even this, no, it was the next year. Yeah. But I get another email saying, would you, next race you're coming to, please contact us, I thought, it's another video, I didn't think much more. I didn't realize that my boss now was overseeing that video, and he said he'd made a list, because I asked, he said he'd made a list of people that could fit positions, and he said that his idea was, instead of 3 journalists commentating, 2 journalists and an ex-rider learning to become a journalist, because you can learn one, you can't learn the other way, without doing it. So that was his idea. I thought it was a good one. But he said when I did the interview with them about the pole position with Mick and that I did it in one take and was easy to get along with. So he put my name on the list. That was it. So they said, next race you come to, let us know, And so I went to the race, forgot. Thinking, I just forgot about it. I went to Aragon, forgot about it, carried on, because I was flat out with my school and went and watched. And then I got the email again, you're coming to a race? And I went, oh, yeah, I'm coming to Valencia. Forgotten about that. So at Valencia, I went and saw them, and they said, this is the last race by now. Next year, do you want to be, pit lane reporter? And I was like, so I just asked my wife, I called them, my wife and kids, and said, how do you feel about it? And now my kids are growing up, and even then they were big. That was 5 years ago now. But now they're 18 and 21 and almost 19 and 22. So anyway, they were cool about me going away. We can stay in touch on the phone. It's not the same as my wife being stuck in Andorra without family support, friends, and 2 babies, It's 2 big rascals. Yeah.
So it was like that.
I did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because one of the things that I'm more enjoy in your comment, it's because you pass to us the feeling of being on the top of the bike, and how the bike turns, and how the bike brakes, and how the bike throttle. And so I think your experience, it's huge. It's a huge part of that. And for that, and then you have that special thing that is yours. It's not something, it was born with you. It's the way you speak, and the way you speak with your hands and with your eyes and with everything. And that's very important to the old
Put it
play,
across,
put it across, and
yeah.
we understand it. It's not technical, so we understand
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
and at the same time, in the tech talks, I try not to miss the tech talks and the after the flags. You try to talk a language that everybody understands. So this is very, very good, because I think half of the motorcyclist people don't know engineering or mechanics or whatever. They know how to ride it, but they don't know how the chassis and the swing arm, in that little difference. And you make some nice scratches, and you try to with sounds also. So I agree with Rui. I think that path that you have, like being a rider, then entering in Motogp, in the pit lane, and learning to be a journalist. This is a very good mix. So we appreciate it a lot.
Learning to be a journalist was, sorry, I just thought I'd throw in. That wasn't hard. I knew I can build my own bike. I worked in a couple of different positions in the team, meaning as a rider and as a crew chief and as a spotter, like for riders going out and watching. So I know how it all works in the garage, well.
Yeah.
And I knew what was going on, but that is not the same as being able to put it across on live TV, especially when you've got no camera. They're not coming to you. They're not saying, right, fire away. You've got to try and butt in. It's not easy, and I really struggled that first year. It wasn't easy.
Those days are gone, and now it's much more easier.
It's like any job, I think.
Like
you've
any
got to
job,
make all the mistakes to
learn, and
then for the young people out there watching. It was like doing my motorcycle apprenticeship. The first 2 years you're making all the mistakes and you're learning lots, and you don't really start feeling like you know the job and you know what you're doing until those 2 years have passed, and this was the same. It was exactly the same. So.
Okay, let's move on. We know that riding a 500cc is not similar to the Motogp nowadays. You have both feelings. You know what is a 500cc like, and you know how Motogp nowadays is. So you had the opportunity to, in the last 2 years, to ride 3 prototypes, 2 bikes from European brands that compete in MotoGP. Can you share with us what you felt in each of these experiences? I can remember that when you ride a Ducati, I think you ride 3 Ducatis, 2 Panigalis and one MotoGP. You were really, really excited, and you said mind blowing. And then you went to a KTM, and all the joy that you put in saying that it was very powerful engine in KTM. And afterwards in Aprilia, you said, I think the word is Aprilia sounds like an angry beast. What do you mean with all these words? What your feelings in these three prototypes?
Okay, I got to say, to be fair to Aprilia and to KTM, I mean, both bikes were awesome experience to ride. I got to feel what the aero did, what the bike turns like, the seamless box, and how fast the thing is in a straight line. But both the KTM and the Aprilia had production tires on them. And that is normal, because you're not normally allowed to have MotoGP tires. They are strictly allocated to test teams and to racers, okay, riders, professional racers at MotoGP. So to get the opportunity on the Ducati this day to ride the Ducati with the real MotoGP tires, which means they can put the real electronics on, that was why it was so incredible experience. You know, the bike, I got to feel what the bike really does, because you can't if you're riding the bikes on the tires that they're not built for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I got the normal journalist experience with the KTM and the Aprilia, you know, and it was something special. You got a taste of different areas, but the electronics don't let the bike go like they can on the real tires.
Yeah.
Because these real tires have so much more grip. It's so much more, they're so much stronger, meaning the production ones are softer. So they'll, the suspension's too hard for it. The electronics have to cut the, you know, because they're going to spin.
Yeah.
It's not the same experience. It is until a certain level. As soon as you try to push, the electronics have to hold you back. Not on the brakes, not the turning. So I got to feel that, you know, but as soon as you touch that throttle, you're getting held back, okay, on the Aprilia and the KTM, where Paolo Gibatti and Davide Tardozzi know me from, they're older than me, you know, and not meaning that disrespectfully. They had saw my career. They knew what I did. They were in the paddock at the same time as me, and they thought to get me the right tires, you know, the real tires. So they talked to Michelin, and the Piero Taramasso had seen what I said after riding the KTM and the Aprilia, that the tire can't put up with this, you know. That was the only sad thing. So he already had that in his head that I knew. And so he went, yeah, he can have a set of the real thing. And so I got the real experience.
And they were used or new? New tires?
New.
Brand new?
Brand new. Yeah.
Medium in the front, soft in the rear, correct?
Yep, that's it. And like what I'm trying to get across is the Aprilia experience was fucking great. Like, I got to feel the aero for the first time down the front straight at Mugello. All the bikes I've ridden there, Mugello, they want to wheelie, and you can't hold it full. You've got to stand on the foot pegs. You've got to try and put your weight over the front, and the bike is trying to wheelie over that brow, you know, at 300 kilometers an hour. It's one of the big rushes of riding Mugello. Yeah, we're approaching it now, where it goes slightly right, goes uphill, but then you've got to turn left on the top.
Yeah.
It's a blind brow, turning left wheelie. It's the most, it makes my hair stand up. Like, it's absolutely fantastic to ride that. I think that's why people ride motorcycles, is to go fast on anything, is that little bit of danger, and handling it is a mixture of sensations. You know, it was wonderful. But I rode the Aprilia over there, and it was glued to the road. You know, it didn't wheelie. It didn't feel unstable. You didn't have to stand on the pegs to hold it down. That big wing on the front and other shapes on the bike just glue it to the road. Like, it was easy to hold full down there. I was like, oh my God, that's why the aero is so important. Now, if you don't have it, you have no chance, you know. It can, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, so I got to experience different things. I got to feel how the bike turned, that amazing gearbox, how fast that engine is. Once we got out of the turn, and the tire was good enough to handle, you know, when you get to third, KTM was fourth. When you hooked fourth, it wasn't held back. Then you really felt it go, you know, and you're like, it's the fastest thing I've ever sat on. Like, really, really good. And braking stability on all of them, amazing. Like, again, I think to do with, I think geometry is different, but to do with aero, the bike's glued to the road and not so skittery and on the brakes like the earlier bikes were, you know. And yeah, the KTM, that was amazing experience, because it was the first time I ever rode 4-stroke GP bike, you know. I'd only ridden the 500s, and that I really appreciate Pit Byra making that happen and giving me the fairing there, you know, as a memento sitting on the bookshelf here at home. That's the team manager there. What an experience, you know. Is what I'm trying to get across is when I rode the Ducati, the best machine on the planet at the moment, you know, racing motorcycle, with the real tires and the real electronics, riding with Pero, Michele Pero, and to do that was unreal because the bike wasn't, basically they trusted me. The bike wasn't held back at all, you know, meaning electronically. I asked Michele Pero, what settings are in the bike? And he went, what I ride, you know. And so they trusted me. You'd see why it was so special. That was
do you have an idea, the horsepower, the real or almost close to the horsepower of the Ducati right now? Do you have an idea, if you can say it?
I think they all have to be knocking on 300, you know. That's my guess.
Jesus, Senhor.
Because
Como é que é possível?
2008 in Mugello, I asked the team then that knew I wasn't in the paddock. I wasn't a journalist. I was an ex-rider visiting. And I asked what horsepower that the Yamaha was. And the guy in the know at the time, you know, high up, he said, I can't tell you exactly, but if you haven't got 270, you're not competitive, you know?
Yeah.
And that's 2008.
Yeah.
And I think we should look that up because it was probably 800, you know? So they've got to be close to 300 now, don't they? You know, with every year going
up.
Yeah. But I think a big part of it now, is that they have so much power that it's a lot of it is about getting it on the ground and not spinning that rear up, delivering it so well. And I felt that when I got to ride these bikes, I would say the KTM was held back, like I said, electronically because of the tyre, and they'd never run that tyre before. So I think it was extra held back until fourth gear. The Aprilia, I realized, well, this is fast, but it's really smooth. The Ducati was really clear to me after those experiences that I'm riding the fastest race bike there is, and it didn't feel that fast, which I know is unbelievable because it is, you know. It was the delivery of the power had no dips and troughs, you know. It didn't, you know how engines come on cam, you know, the cam timing valve, and then they produce a lot of power and they feel fast, you know. Well, this thing just went like so linear, which is to not break traction, you know, because they've got too much power, right? They've got too much power for the tire. They'll just light it up, spin. So they have to deliver it with no dips and troughs, because when it kicks in, it will spin out, and then the rider's going to struggle. The bike will get unstable. So, as I understand it, let's just scribble on this, and I'll show you for the listeners what I'm talking about. Say, I don't know if you can see. This is only a bit.
I will push you big.
A Mototech moment.
So you go. The engine will go. Riders ride out of the pit lane always and go when they're riding a new bike and go. Just hold it full and go and feel when it'll go like, and they'll feel where that kick is, and then they can predict where it is, and so you don't get caught out, because before electronics, if you held full throttle and then the power kicked in, it's like giving you too much and it'll high side you off. So what the electronics does is, say the engine has this curve, it will bring it down to fill this in, you know what I mean? It'll make it go like the curve, like this, you know? So it's much more
linear.
Yeah, much
like
smooth and linear, yeah.
Just fill.
Wait. Então, Zé, põe aí o microfone do Simon.
Estou a tentar pôr, pera.
it doesn't matter that it gives you less power. It's that they fill that in, and it doesn't have that kick to make it spin up. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And remember me what Alex Marquez have told on these last tests in Valencia when he ride the Ducati. It was your words, what you have seen now. It was the huge difference that he felt from the Honda to the Ducati. It was the delivery of power on a linear way. So it was exactly what you are saying now.
Yeah. Beautifully done.
Simon, Alex Marquez came from an Honda, an LCR Honda, and now he's going to a Ducati, and he's very happy. So trying to make a bridge to have your point of view in what is happening with the disappearance of the hegemony of the Japanese manufacturers in MotoGP. Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha. What is happening is the European manufacturers like Aprilia, KTM, and Ducati giving all the cards and trying to get advantage on them.
I think I don't think it's one thing. I'll just put them all out there, and
we sum her up.
Yeah. We saw that Japan was hit hard with the COVID thing. I think that, meaning we all were, like everyone was, but I think that they were isolated compared to the European manufacturers from the tracks, from the development, from, for example, I know Aprilia and that were hit hard. They were saying that the whole place had to shut down, and but the thing is, it's still easier having the tracks and the development team and the rider and
nearby,
the manufacturer all nearby, then I think this plays a part still now with the race teams. For example, just to jump sideways, when I got to ride that factory Ducati, the rider and the crew chief that were looking after me was the test team, so it was Michele Pero and his crew chief, Marco, remind me his surname, sorry, blank. He's a really well-known, awesome crew chief. And he said to me, part of the ingredients of being so successful lately is having a rider, he pointed to Michele, who was doing something else, that can ride within 1 second of our fastest races, and then that got me thinking. You think Michele speaks the same language, as the manufacturer. He rides within a second of the fastest riders, and on the Ducati.
Yep.
I mean, that's important. So the parts that he likes are more likely that the riders will like, because if you've got a test rider that's 2-3 seconds off, the part might work for him, and he gives it to the other guy who's going so much faster. I experienced that with the 500. The Japanese test rider would, work on it, say, "Oh, this is good," pass it over, and I go, "Nah," And so I saw that not all the new bits coming through are good. Some yes, some, and it's very important to have a rider at that similar level so the parts work. Then, but I think it's obvious when you're in Europe riding the test tracks here with a rider that speaks the same language. There's no translation loss, of information. I think this is a part of it. Yeah. And then the next bit is the bit that I think that the Europeans have obviously run with the devices. Ducati came out with the devices first, and then the wings, really using the wings. And always in our sport, when I think about how Yamaha and Honda are going to get out of this hole, I would say it's down to something as simple as buying in the right people, because it's always worked both ways, For example, KTM have just got more Ducati people recently. You know, they've got more crew chiefs. They already had an engineer and
A rider.
a rider. And there's nothing wrong with this. That's how it's always worked. Gigi at Ducati, who everyone knows has made such a difference, he was taken from Aprilia, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's how it works, you know? You see someone that's doing something really good and take them across to your project, see what he can do there, what information he brings. And I think this is the way, you know, just to fast forward rather than go through everything, I think this is the way that Honda and Yamaha have to work as well. Like, you know, they've got to take people in, you know, from the teams that they see succeeding. It's basically buying the knowledge, you know. But yeah, the Europeans, you're right, have jumped forward. But it is a strange period of our sport because it's not the normal motorcycle development we've seen in the past, you know, where they're working on chassis and setup and tires like always. I should say that for your viewers, I believe our championship, a lot of people that know the engineering side, know our sport, agree with this. And it's not my idea, it's been around a long time, decades, is that our championship is about who can use the tires the best, you know? It's how you can make your engine, your suspension, your rider, your setup, get the most out of the tires, get everything out of the tires over that period, that race distance. That's what our sport is, you know? And it is constantly evolving. And this is a weird period, I'll go back and say it, because of the ride height devices and the wings. It's kind of swerved off, you know? And I think that they need to buy in those people to get that knowledge and jump back out. But when you stand back and look, it wasn't long ago, Ducati were lost, you know?
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And Honda, you know, your HRC teacher, they were sometimes all 3 spots on the podium, you know? And that wasn't rare. It was like unreal, dominating, you know? When I won that GP on the Yamaha, it was the first, I think, win in 3 years, something crazy like that, you know? 2.5 years, 3 years for Yamaha. Honda had just been going bang, bang, bang. So what I'm saying is the others, when you stand back and look, they all go like this, you know? They're all fighting and finding new ways forward. And it's only a matter of time before Honda, the giant, and Yamaha fight back. And
There is one thing, and sorry, Pedrosa, about that. There is one thing that, for me, it's mysterious. You talk about the knowledge that you can get from teams and the importance that have. How it's possible that a team like X-Star that have won a championship 2 years ago, they were champion. Joan Mir win the championship of 2020, and Suzuki, it have a wonderful team. It was the stronger 4-line engine on the moment. How that team disappear, and there is no. Yamaha, for example, don't get the team from X-Star, for example, or Honda. For me, it's something that is, you know, it's crazy that X-Star goes away and nobody catch all that knowledge that X-Star have it.
Well, I think all of the team members have been soaked up by the paddock. I think last time I asked someone in the team, they told me there was only one guy left and they were all working to make sure he had a spot before the end of the year, you know. So when you're talking mechanics, I think majority have been soaked up by the paddock. But it's sad because there's only 22 bikes, not 24 on the grid now. So when I say soaked up by the paddock, it's because they were good and they've pushed someone else out. you know.
Yeah.
And so, and it's the same with the riders. 2 riders got pushed out, you know, and it was guys like, Rins having to jump on the LCR Honda, and which would be a damn good ride if the Honda was good at the moment, but it isn't, you know.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a choice of steps. But all I'm saying is it was very tough, very competitive market if you're a rider or a mechanic because of this, you know. There's too many. Some people have to go. But it's really sad. Probably the low point of MotoGP 22.
Yeah.
Jose, you have one question, but before that, let me remind Simon that the Chief is Marco Rigamonti.
Thank you. Rigamonti, yeah. Rigamonti.
Okay.
Yeah, very experienced guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Simon, a part of that, Suzuki is a spine. I don't know if the correct meaning. It's a spine on your throat, because you want to. I hear a lot of times from you. You want to ride it, but you never do it. It's hard to swallow that.
No. I mean, it's a privilege if I get it. I can't expect this. It's a privilege, you know. It was disappointing because it's gone, so the opportunity is lost.
That's the word, disappointing.
Yeah,
that's the word.
It's disappointing because, for example, I have more years to work on Yamaha and Honda, you know, to let me have a ride. But the opportunity is gone now with Suzuki, and they were up for it. They were talking, it almost felt like there was nobody there with the energy to make it happen, you know, because everybody said yes. Dorna said yes. Suzuki said, yeah, they're working on it. But nobody put it together. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like I don't know, the energy wasn't there for some reason, you know. And you can understand that if the guys haven't got jobs next year and they're probably working on finding their future, you know. So I'm disappointed because it was obviously a beautiful bike. Really wanted to try it. Haven't ridden an inline. And anyway, nothing I can do.
So, continuing, because the hour is getting very, very stretched. Do you think there's any future for inline motors, or is getting difficult to just one right now with only two Yamas next year? Is getting very complicated for them, or you think they will maintain for a long period?
It's a good question, because I actually got asked that today about the inline thing. What I'd like to do is explain how I see it, and I think how a lot of the paddock see the inline and the V4. The inlines are, in general, more natural to ride. More, they turn nicer. It's easy to carry corner speed and ride. You can ride how you want to ride. You know what I mean? Which is, humans like to carry corner speed and you know what I'm saying? Like in flow, and the bike turns, and you don't have to fight the bike.
Mantequilla.
You know?
Like Lorenzo.
Yes, perfect example. Him. But the problem is, if you have a V4 in front of you riding in a different way, stopping, starting, you can't ride the way this bike needs to ride to be able to win. And the way inlines have traditionally won is, especially.
Wait, your micro. Just 1 second.
I found it.
Okay.
It's a gadget.
I've got it ready. Traditionally, if you look at Jorge Lorenzo, and if you look at how Alex Rins won at Valencia, that's how normally the inlines have to win, unless they're with minimum fighting. Because if you're in a fight, it's too hard to fight against V4s that stop, block your path, and then accelerate really well, stop really well, and again block. So, you saw it, you've seen it a lot with Fabio. If he can get out front, he's dangerous. If he can't get out front, he gets blocked in there and can't run his rhythm, and that is it always has been like that. But that is the problem of the thing is, if you're riding an inline four, that's what you'll be saying. This is really hard to fight the V4s. Or if you're on a V4, and normally, apart from the Ducati that has just come amazing, and the Aprilia hot on its heels, you have other problems if you're riding a V4. Like you'll be saying to your mechanic, the thing's not hooking up, or it doesn't turn, The typical V4 complaint traditionally over the decades is the thing won't turn. You can't carry corner speed or can't get it turned. It goes really well, but can't turn. So to be fair, there's problems on both sides. Just recently, Aprilia and Ducati have really minimalized those problems. The bikes are working so well in all areas. Ducati still admit they've got, they feel their only real weakness is turning still. They still want to get it turning better. Yeah.
And
Okay.
wait, força, José, força.
Just one more. And like you said, and I imagine it's something like this. With the aerodynamics helped a lot more than the inlines, help a lot the V4s, because they can put better the power into the ground and deliver you well. So they get the more advantage than the inlines, correct? Because
I
the
see the same as
aerodynamics
you.
on turn, it's different, works different, and no big advantage on that. So if what do you think the manufacturers now are developing more? It's the aerodynamics. They are focus more or previously in aerodynamics, and then into the engine or into the tires. What are the priorities right now for a manufacturer? Okay, it's a game, it's a balance, but
yeah.
what is the priority, the focus, the main focus?
Okay, I miss this a little bit, but it always was traditionally you worked on bike setup, getting the bike handling the best possible so you can do the best time. And recent years, it's moved away from that more. They don't have time to get the bike well set up. It's why you see riders very, very little setup-wise, because they find this base setting and they're too busy working on electronics and the ride height device, getting it, or the trying different aero, or so especially electronics takes a lot of time to get dialed in right, and it takes away that time from somewhere else. So I think there are so many areas that they're working on that chassis development, in my opinion, watching gets left out in the cold more than it did in the past. They just don't have time. So it's down to test teams to develop stuff and then try to bring that through for the guys to try. But yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but you can't have a big weakness in any area now. Because someone else won't and beat you. But so electronics is still a huge part, really, really big, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's an area that Honda is struggling on as well, because the others have taken a step forward. That's what I would hesitate
Simon,
to guess.
Just let me tell you, I don't know. I have here Jack Miller also on a podcast, an Australian podcast, saying that on the race, with the GPS signal of his bike, he can have a different bike in each corner. Okay, did you know that already? About that, and all the manufacturers have that, or you don't know that?
Yes, because the bike, that's how it's been for some time. That the bike knows what corner it's on. And so you can adjust and tweak engine brake or electronic, how much power you want, how much torque for different corners. And that's, I mean, I heard a rider recently say that the bike got lost. Actually, it was Jack. So that's probably where this came from. His bike got lost, meaning the signal was wrong or it got out of. So it's dangerous, you know. It's not going to give you power when it needs power, and it's going to give you too much when you don't need it, you know. So but they've been there like that for some time. For example, that's why the exhaust valves have come in, like the Italians meaning Aprilia and Ducati are using those exhaust valves that Krapovich have helped develop. Well, say you come into a slow corner and the engine RPM drops too much, so there's not enough engine brake. The bike in that corner, because the bike knows where it is, they can program in that the exhaust valve closes there to make the more engine brake. Because the engine isn't doing it, if that makes sense, you know. There isn't enough because the RPM drops too low. So they close the exhaust like a truck brake, make more engine brake in that slow corner entry. But it'll only do it there. It doesn't have to do it at every corner, you know. So because of the GPS. Because without the GPS, that adjustment would work at every turn. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So every time the throttle's closed,
Oh, your mic.
GPS microphone with GPS.
and now I think it's the best time to enter on the riders world. I think we have a wonderful talking about the machines and the manufacturers and everything, and with all the tech talk that we had here on this videocast. My simple question is, do you think the rider can still do magic? Do you think that the rider continue to be the important part of the race?
Luckily, yes. I still, the rider makes a big difference.
Yes.
How many in percentage? How many? Because just one thing, because that is a big discussion, always a big fight, a good fight in our videocasts between us. So we want to know the percentage, okay?
Oh
no, just joking.
I don't know. I don't know percentage, but the good thing is our sport. I mean, it's so, like I was saying to you before, it's so scary out there. You know, these bikes are so fast that special riders can do special things. You know, they can run less electronics. You know, they can do special things to make special things happen. I mean, every time Mark's got on the bike this year, almost, he's been doing special things with that bike that nobody else can, you know. So I mean, and it's why Fabio and Mark are paid so highly by the biggest, wealthiest manufacturers, you know, is because they can do something special, you know, and make those bikes look better than they are, you know. That's how I see it.
I for example, we normally said on the past, we have the giants, Valentino Rossi, Lorenzo, Pedrosa, Stoner, whatever. And you see on those times, there was a huge gap between them and the other ones, the satellite machines and the satellite riders and everything. The problem is in nowadays, and this is my opinion, I think the grid, the level of the rider's grip, it's super high. Darren Binder, it's a really good rider. And if you go to Joan Zarco, he's an outstanding rider. So the riders of our days, they are very good. If you check they are almost all of them world championship, or in Moto3, or in Moto2, or in Motogp. So the level, it's very, very, very high. And the people can be confused about the level and skills of riding from the past, you know, because on the past you have those
aliens.
Aliens,
yes.
They look
Well, I gotta say, my gut feeling, I don't know, okay, but my gut feeling is that if Casey Stoner turned up here in his prime, he would still win. You know? And so would Lorenzo. He would still win, you know. They were special guys, you know. And yeah, they're the two standout, like Pedrosa on his day as well, like really special.
But you know, Simon, just sorry, but for example, with all the respect, today we don't have Kyle Arabram on the grid, for example.
No, that's what I was going to say.
And you don't have Hector Barbara.
But you're talking about depth of field, you know, like so over the whole field in the race, there's nobody slow. I totally agree. That has got a lot stronger. Also, the machinery, it's why. Because you can't, if you've got a shit bike that you know you can't do anything with, you're not going to get a good rider in, you know? Or if you do, he's not going to stay for long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where now everybody's got good machinery, everybody. And so they get the cream of riders. And now there is unbelievable level in MotoGP of riders. I agree.
That's what I think.
Yes. But also machinery, the level. So you're talking... the guy on the worst bike, the bike is still good enough. Next year, the bike will still be good enough to win. You know what I'm saying? And the worst bike, But the thing is, I still think that Stoner and Lorenzo would win. They would come in here and still win because they were that special. That's what I think. You know.
That's a really good point. Because we have followers that said that if you have a Ducati, you will probably be champion. So, and Ducati is okay, it's the best bike there, but the level is not possible to divide at this moment the grid, or you think it's possible to divide the MotoGP grid in terms of quality in the riders. So can we have the very fast ones, extraordinary ones, and
yes, you can still. Like I still think right now that Mark would be my money if we're all on the same machinery to win the championship. You know, again next year if they're all on the same machinery. Fabio's getting closer. The good thing is Mark doesn't stand out like he did in 2019, well ahead of everybody. They're on his ass, which is great, you know. and then right behind those two, to me, you've got Rins and Mir. They're awesome quality, you know. They're right close to Fabio. Then actually, I've got to look at the grid.
Vamos outra vez, mais momento.
I've got to look at the guys. Okay, Rins and Mir, Pecco, Binder, if he was on the same machine, if you only talk about riders, Binder's in there, isn't he? You know, and your man Oliveira. If you put him on a Duke, you know, they're all on Ducatis. Who you know, it gets really difficult. Then you've right on their heels, you've got Bez and Bastianini, Martin. It's super close. I agree, but when you add the bikes, you know, at the moment, I'm scared for Rins and Mir. You know, I worried for them because they're awesome riders that unless Honda do something, they're in trouble, you know?
They need to get a Mark Marquez test rider also. Another. They need to find one.
The reason that I think Mark is still the standout man is his experience and he's so wily. He always makes the right decision on stuff, squeezes everything out of what he's got every time, you know, that. So over a whole year, he's still, to me, the man to beat, you know, but unless they turn up with something, he's in trouble as well.
Can you, if you wanted, can you name the three, in your opinion, the three best riders that you see now on MotoGP? If you want to do that.
Okay, if I was a team manager, okay. And
okay.
yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
Oh, but there's so guys that are so close. I mean,
so 4 guys, 4 riders, and one tester. So that's 5. Okay, we are doing your job easier.
Okay. I mean, you know the first two. It's Mark and Fabio. You know, to me. And then it gets really difficult because it's between some incredible guys that are, you know, over. If you're talking about championship. And I've just described why I love Mark, how he squeezes everything out of the bike every race. So I've got to choose Brad Binder, you know, because he just wrings everything out of it every race. Where he finished in the championship this year, but then, I mean, you know. I'm not going to choose Jorge Martin, even though I think he's equal to the fastest man out there. The kid is super good because he's not quite the finished product. You know what I mean? It's like he needs to figure out some last part, but he's got the ingredients to run with anyone speed-wise. So I would probably choose Rins or Mir, you know?
You are in trouble, Simon. You are in Portugal. You are in trouble.
Wait.
No, just joking.
Look. Your man is on the same. So
the same line.
Mark,
same line.
Fabio. Look, one's above the other, just. But on the same line, I find it really hard to split these guys here. So which is Pecco, Alex Rins, Joan Mir, Brad Binder, and Miguel Oliveira, all on the same line. To me, of you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just if you're a team manager, it's like who are you going to get cheaper, isn't it? And who wants to ride for you? Because if they want to, you know, it makes for something. So yeah. I've answered where I put the guys in my.
That's nice move. Nice move, like a chess move. You know, you played like making a chess move. It was a really good move, and I totally agree with you, Simon.
One thing that's going to be if you're actually interested in this is, you know, I'll put Mark, Fabio in these guys here. It's so hard to split. On the next, this is the level where I put them, you know, these guys. Then these new fellas, is this in there? Martin, Bez, Bastianini. These guys here are, to me, ready to leap up to there. You know, it's very likely these young fellas are likely to leap up here, you know. I mean, Bastianini probably should be already there. But what I'm saying is they've got less experience in the class and they're ready to make the jump, and they probably should in 22, and it'll prove me wrong. You know, they already are there. But all I'm saying is that, that's what I think. And, hey, while we're waffling, Franco, I hope the two that I worry about this year is Franco Morbidelli, and I have to say Top Gun, Maverick. Because your man, he's going to beat him in the championship, don't you?
Yeah,
We are going now to that.
That's the next question. The
next question.
To end
Really?
with
Okay.
And the last one from us.
One followers,
yeah.
one followers is saying that it's time to talk about Miguel Oliveira. We know everyone in this videocast. We know that Miguel Oliveira is amazing rider. You put them on that top of the list, almost on the top. We know that Aprilia can make impressive performance, like we saw in this past year. How do you see the things around Miguel? Okay, the team, the personal team, the personal guys around Miguel. How do you see it? Do you think they can match every piece of the puzzle and put them together to fight for the world championship?
I think that Miguel is mentally strong, experienced, clever, a really smart guy, and he's the sort that will be able to tell them, he's got enough experience as well to tell them what he needs, On the other side, the base machine is pretty good, isn't it? In the Aprilia, what we saw this year. Then, which is why he's moved there. He thinks it is as well. Aprilia are very interested in him going well, the satellite team going well. They helped choose those two riders, together with RNF. It was also Aprilia's decision, they had to agree. I wouldn't be surprised if Aprilia paid for them, I don't know, but and they know, like I know, like we all know, that there's a real good chance that Miguel will be the fastest Aprilia, over a whole season. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he hit the ground running, meaning he made friends with everything really quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the top 3 in the championship in the first couple of races. No shit. I'm not saying that. I won't say anything I don't believe, And he is that class of a rider. Like I said, he's on, apart from Mark and Fabio, who I hold out there just doing something special most weekends, Miguel is on the same level as Brad, and I'll explain the difference though. Mir, Rins, Pecco, they're the same. So if he hits the ground running, I believe he can be in the top 3 in the championship. After a few races, we're going, holy, that is doable. I really think that. And the bike is a good level. So, to answer your question about this team staff around him, I'm not sure. I think it's too early to tell. We need by the end of even the test in Sepang, when we get good, was it 2 or 3 days? 2 days on track there, 2 or 3. Now I've forgotten.
I think it's 2 days.
2 days, yeah.
And with the shakedown, it's the
that's
3.
right. That's right. So by the end of that, I think we'll have a good feel, because really at Valencia, he just walked in and they wouldn't have even really changed the bike. They would have just been having a ride on it. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be. So I think it's too early to tell whether he's got good enough people around him. But I have faith in Miguel's abilities on all angles, and how much Aprilia want to help him, because they know that he's just as good as their 2 guys in the factory garage.
And there is another thing I think that goes with Miguel, that is also the tests before the first race in Portimão. The tests are going to be in Portimão also, a circuit that he knows very well. He's going to test on on his country also. And I think it will help a lot the first part of the championship for sure. Working on this environment, it will help him because, as you saying, he knows very well to express what he needs. And imagine on a circuit like Portimão that he knows very well on blind eyes, he will say perfectly to Aprilia what he needs. So I think until Assen, he has a good chance to make a good first part of the championship. The second one, it will be a completely different role.
Yeah. And he'll be able to wake up every day and have pastel de nata, no?
Yeah.
Sorry. Hey, so yeah, my gut feeling, I hadn't even looked at it thinking about Portimão and the test and all that, but my gut feeling is I wouldn't be surprised if he's right up there early in the season and we stop early in the season and go, check him out, like look where he is, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Do you think the Portuguese fans of Miguel can imagine, can dream with a victory in the start of the season at Portimão?
I don't know. But hey, no, I don't. But I would put money on that Miguel will win next year. I don't know where, but I really, when I heard that he signed for the Aprilia, hey, before I forget, and what I remember now, they were teammates, Binder and Oliveira, Brad Binder, teammates last year. My impression of both these guys, Binder impresses the hell out of me because he's one of these guys like Mark that you want as a team manager that can force some shit to do it that doesn't want to do it, He's just unbelievable at that. But those riders are so rare, Most riders need the machine to be doing a decent part of the work, and then they can do their magic. I think, it's pretty obvious Brad can force a bike that's not quite right to do something special more than Miguel can. But I think that I would put, sorry, Brad, but Miguel slightly ahead of Brad when the bike is good, when it's set up, you've got a good machine. He can do something really special. And like I've said it before on the live, Lorenzo-esque, how he can just punch those times out faster than everybody and just keep doing it. Bang, bang, bang. He's like really special. So that's my feeling that when the bike is right, he's even more special. If the bike's not right, then Brad's your man.
Yeah.
Amazing, Simon.
Well, hey, it's only feelings from watching, it's not.
Yeah. Of course, is your feeling?
Yeah, and you said that. I remember when Miguel won in Barcelona in Montmello. You said the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing there, and we saw it in Moto2 rides as well. Yeah.
But in Moto2 rides where the chassis were not Kalex or Bosco Escuro,
exactly.
Was that chassis, that iron chassis, almost like we said. It was really, really hard for him to fight for that championship in Moto2, and he made a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Well, Simon, 1 hour and almost an half. I ask you one more favor. It's little bit extra time just for our followers to make you some questions. I have saw some of them because there's a lot of comments in the show, but I something like this, it's a great pleasure. They all appreciate your presence. So it's amazing. So about your amazing words about Miguel and everything. So then we enjoy more. That one you have answered already. Let me see another one. Let me see that one.
Yeah. Okay. And what? Okay, that's like 3 questions in there, but
I don't want to burn the opportunity. Okay.
leave them up because I'll forget once I've answered the first one. 8 Ducatis on the grid. I think. Please leave it up so I can. Otherwise, I'll forget.
Sorry.
No, I get so into the first one, I'll forget the next one. I think. It's hard for other manufacturers. If you're not on a Ducati, it's hard because I think they make progress really quick during the weekend because there's 8 lots of information they're shared. And if one finds the problem, I saw this in Olin's, when I worked for Olin's, if I found the problem or someone else found the problem, chatter or whatever, you could share it, and the others will go forward. With 8 bikes on the grid, you see really good progress, and they're always figuring out. So as a opposition, it's shit, you've got to fight. We've got 2 bikes and sometimes it was 1, Fabio fighting. It's not good. But from Ducati's point of view, you can't blame them. They can supply. People want to hire them, like lease these bikes, and if other manufacturers, would put more bikes up for lease, they could steal some of those spots. But it's just business. I don't blame them, and it's good for them. Why would you not do it? If you can. I don't know. They build an amazing bike. People want them. People want to lease them. Hey, so I'll just jump on the other. What do you think about sprint races? The sprint races thing, when it first came on, I thought, oh, shit, it's too much pressure on the riders, to have it, because it's already, these boys are under a lot of pressure for a lot of weekends, a lot. And then I've come around, and not because of my bosses or anything like that, this is just me, because they are trying to make the sport better, sell better, bigger TV audiences. And if that happens, the riders will benefit. It will go back in their pocket, So at this, I've kind of gone, they're going to be more famous. They're going to make more money. So why not work a little bit more, if it's going to reward you and improve our sport, well, those 2 things go together. Our sport is bigger. They make more money for their efforts. So one thing more about the sprint races, the bit that won me over was, firstly, the riders benefiting. Second, when I'm at home, I love to cook on barbecue. And if I've got a weekend off, not racing, and there's superbikes on the TV and I'm cooking on the barbecue, my wife says, oh, it's qualifying for superbikes. I'm staying with the barbecue. But if she says, hey, it's the superbike sprint race that's on Saturday, I drop my tools, put the meat on the side, go watch the sprint race, So it works. So it works for me. I imagine it'll work for other people as well and get more people watching TV. So what happened to Fabio last part of the season? I think that's a really good one. Good question. I've noticed the last 2 years.
Telmo Alves is a big fan of Quartararo. So.
Okay, the last 2 years, well, so am I, I am. I love his work, and he's really good to us, like journalists. So I hate calling myself a journalist, but it's what I'm doing. So Fabio, I've noticed the last 2 years, second part drop off, and I believe it's that he's doing such outstanding work. He's forced to, because he's making that bike do what it shouldn't be doing, doing amazing stuff like Mark does as well on the Honda. And I think it's he burns out. Like, it's too much. Oh, this is from a rider's point of view. It's too much to expect a rider to force a bike to do something special every weekend on Saturday and on Sunday. You know what I mean? Every weekend. Just to do what the bike is maximum capable of should be enough, you know, but he's having to do something, well, he's able to do something very, very special, and I don't believe that a rider should be expected to do that over 20 races. He should be able to pull it out for, I don't know, 6 or 8 of them, and we'd be all like, wow, man, that was really cool. But to have to do it every weekend, I think that's what Fabio's had to do. That's my opinion. The last couple of years, it's too much. And I think he starts going like towards the end of the year. So let's hope Yamaha turn up with something more competitive so he can have some normal weekends where he still manages to get on the podium without using that magic. You know, I think that's it. There's only so much magic a rider can do in a season, but Fabio's been trying to do it every weekend, you know? Every it's too much. That's what I think. I think that's why, you know, that's my feeling on it. But,
okay, just 2 more because they are more or less connected, about the revolution that the bikes are suffering, and not only the bikes, the circuits and the equipment of the riders. That one, do you memorize it?
Yeah. Got it.
And this one of Elder Valeix, that is that goes to the riders, you know. So with all that stuff, we get riders of more.
Okay. So
more
first
softer.
one, your first one. I think it's a good thing. Yes, the more modern bikes are safer than what I rode, and even before me, at least the ones I rode, the 2-strokes I rode, were reliable. They were safe. You know, I didn't have one break on me. With the materials and the oils and the knowledge of 2-strokes by the time in the late 90s, they were really good, but they had no safety aids, you know, no electronics, and so they were still brutally dangerous.
The electronic was this one.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because if the carburation wasn't good, then you get an elastic throttle cable feel, and then it's even harder to manage, you know, because not what you're doing there happening there. It's like not good. So they felt like when they were right, they felt amazing. When they were not right, they felt like they just wanted to hurt you, you know. And I think it's a good thing that the bikes are safer. They are safer now. Riders still get hurt with failures, meaning electronic glitches like happened to Jack, you know, and the GPS got lost, and then you're getting too much power in the wrong place. We've seen with the Honda Mark Fly a few times, definitely something wrong electronic wise. So that is scary, you know, when, you know, it wasn't your mistake and you get flung to the moon. That's not good.
Acontece, Jose. Sorry, Simon.
But in general, yeah, the bikes are safer. They are better to ride, more manageable. They're a lot faster than what I rode, but they're doing it in a better way, you know, like much more. What you put there, and they've got safety. So I think it's a good thing, you know. They're beautiful, the new stuff, much better than the old stuff.
So
about riders.
Yeah, they are lazy. They are not lazy. Less refined skills. I don't know what is the correct. So.
Less refined. Elder is trying.
So I think he's getting at the same thing, that the riders, electronics are doing some of their job now, you know, and there is a little bit of that. But you know what? The best riders of every era, I truly believe this, that the best riders of every era will still be the ones that win, no matter where you put them, because they're so good at adapting and getting the winners are good at adapting and getting the most out of what they have, and adapting to it. And it doesn't matter that they were riding 2 strokes or 4 strokes, or they have that. Does that make sense?
Yes,
so
yes,
if
yes,
you dropped Mick Doohan on one of these things now, but in his prime, he's still going to fight at the very front,
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about Stoner. That's how I feel about Lorenzo. It's probably the same, but I didn't get to see it. But Agostini, you know what I'm saying? The best guys. It's not about that they were better at because the machinery was like it was. It's that they are the best at getting out of them the most out of what they've got. They're special at that. That's all it is, I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Simon, we have to give you a big thank you, because 1 hour and a half have already gone. I just want to ask you one more thing. Can we take a picture right now on the screen? I don't know if I can do it, but it's amazing to do it, so I will try it.
Does the computer do a screenshot or what?
Yeah, but
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
It's like,
Just
it's
a
like
joke.
a selfie.
I hope we can take this picture all together in Portimão. We will be there in the maybe in the paddock. I don't know if we can do that, but we are trying to and manage all the stuff. Rui will be in a meeting with the guys in charge at Portimão. So hope we can take this selfie together in March in Portimão.
Yeah,
Cool, guys.
I have to, Jose, sorry. I have to
No.
A huge thanks to Simon with your posture, your simplicity, no bullshit in saying what the things you like. This is very, very good. You have no ego. Your ego is being yourself, and I was like, hypnotized listening to you, your opinions, your technical stuff, doing the draws. This was amazing. I hope if we don't see in Portimão, we can catch again in an off season when don't have any races, and then we can talk again. Thank you very much for your availability and for your sympathy. It was very good. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Antonio. My pleasure. Hope to see you and all of you guys in Portimão.
Simon, from me, it was a huge pleasure to have this hour and a half talking with you, and I hope the season starts very quickly to see you on the screen and talking to us weekend after weekend. Yeah. Thank you very much, Simon.
My pleasure, buddy.
And just listen
see you
and
from the
see.
test in Malaysia.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Good. Let's see. And see and listen our generic is very good, Simon.
Sorry? The generic, the music now at the end.
Okay.
Mas a gente não vai terminar.
No, but
we are going to continue, but I think it was nice
Simon.
to put the generic and then Simon just say away, and then we continue in Portuguese.
See you guys.
Simon. See you. Bye-bye. Thank
Tchau,
you very
Simon.
much.
Obrigado.
Into their mind, they never
E agora?
Deixa-me pôr os micros.
Pois é.
E agora?
Estamos em direto, não é? Estamos em
Sim,
direto.
sim, sim,
Não
sim.
estás em
Então,
direto. O
estamos
que é
em
que a gente
direto.
diz agora? Agora a gente olha, batemos as
Não,
palmas.
o que é que a gente trabalha agora? Daqui para a frente, o que é que a gente trabalha? Quer dizer,
Sim.
epá,
Olha,
não,
malta
foi-
aí em casa, eu acho que foi brutal.
Foi.
Pedimos desculpa de alguma forma se algo não correu bem.
Olha aí, para mim podem fechar a loja, diz o nome bravo.
Alguém
Olha,
vai buscar
exatamente, olha, com licença, vou buscar uma mini, exatamente.
Só um minuto então, peraí. Estou a dizer, fala.
Olha, vão-se todos embora que eu vim aqui um bocadinho, vá, pronto. Olha, malta, eu acho que foi brutal, não é? A questão, obviamente, da língua cria aqui algumas dificuldades, algumas barreiras, e para quem não percebe o inglês acaba por ser difícil. Já temos o Rui nas celebrações finais. Olha, eu acho que foi um podcast fantástico. Deixou-me
Olha, Tosé, antes de mais, desculpa
tanta
lá.
coisa na cabeça. Diz,
Não,
Rui,
antes de
diz,
mais,
diz.
quero-te agradecer, amigo. Quero-te agradecer esta viagem, que tem sido o Slipstream Effect, esta cena dos
Vamos três da moto.
podcasts e disso tudo. Epá, obrigadinha. Nunca pensei na minha vida falar com este homem. Portanto, foi fantástico mesmo. Mais um momento que tenho a agradecer e que estes momentos continuem e que a nossa amizade continue mais forte que nunca.
Mesmo. E mais tardar ou mais cedo, pelo menos em março, a gente vai se conhecer e vamos dar aí um grande abraço.
Pois?
Pelo menos isso. Entre os três.
Enfim.
Pedrosa, tu e tu, conta lá.
Epá,
Tu fostes aqui o homem que...
Não, eu fiz o contacto, como eu disse.
Está bem, olha, lançaste a pedra.
Lancei a pedra e havia um amigo que é o Carlos que teve a oportunidade e tem a felicidade de o conhecer, que incentivou e disse: opá, o Simon é uma pessoa normal, vais ver, se eu fizeres o contacto ele vai-te responder. E foi. Demorou algum tempo pela agenda que ele tem e imagino que não seja fácil. E de facto respondeu e depois manteve-se aqui um contacto regular. A gente sabia que ele vinha, não sabíamos era quando. Por isso é que a gente andávamos sempre aqui a dizer: estamos a preparar surpresa.
Ai.
E depois o Rui a semana passada, quando estávamos com o Belmonte a fazer a previsão e a lançar o Grande Prémio de Portimão, disse: não, pode dizer. E eu até não sabia muito bem o que é que havia a dizer, mas Rui, correu-me também. E tenho pena de quem não assistiu em direto, porque isto depois não vai ser igual, não é? A ver depois em diferido. É óbvio que o conteúdo é o mesmo, mas não sei se em direto, eu posso confessar, eu estava, não era nervoso, ele a falar e estar aqui no nosso espaço, da forma como ele estava a falar, como eu disse, sem bullshit, não é? Não tem bullshit nenhuma, ele diz realmente aquilo que pensa, de uma forma cavalheiresca, e no fundo vem-nos aqui esclarecer de algumas das grandes nossas discussões filosóficas, a máquina ou o piloto, quem são os melhores pilotos, e independentemente dos nossos fãs...
A eletrónica da onda, que eu tenho tido, da onda, são cenas que a gente vai falando e que há muita gente que às vezes até começa a torçar isto e aquilo, mas e depois estás a ver, aparece um homem destes e diz-te logo o que é que é, o que é que não é. Opa, o gajo quando vai buscar o papel e começa a fazer aquilo assim...
fogo!
Opa, fogo! É mesmo o gajo, meu. É que a sensação, aquele gajo é bom, cada fim de semana, pelo menos eu falo por mim, porque dá-me a sensação que ele está em cima de uma moto e a falar. E tu entendes perfeitamente o que é que ele está a querer passar, a informação. Pá, é brilhante. O homem o que é que queres que eu te diga?
Não, foi um grande momento da noite, quando ele saca da tableta.
E quando ele começa com o... as cenas do gajo, meu. As cenas do gajo que é único. Pronto, lá está. O espetáculo, aquilo também é um espetáculo.
E aguentou-se aqui 1h30. Eu não estava a ver que ele se aguentasse tanto tempo. E não acelerou nada, que ele podia estar...
E digo-te uma coisa, e Tosé, se queres que eu te diga, e vou-te ser sincero, eu acho que tu é que cortaste, porque se a gente continuasse ali mais uma ou duas perguntas... Sim, mas fizeste bem, acho que fizeste bem.
Che Cavalheiro também, né?
Sim,
Senão-
sim, sim, sim.
senão
Acho
o
que
homem
foste
leva aqui
muito-
uma
sim, sim.
montadela que depois nunca mais cabe e assim. Pá, acho que pode ser que outro dia podemos...
Mas há momentos muito bons aqui a reter, que é a experiência que o piloto tem em termos de passar a experiência e o que pretende para a equipa técnica, estás a ver? Que há essas coisas que às vezes a gente não liga e que tem muito, conta muito. A importância da equipa de testes, viram que
Sim.
lá está. Quando a gente diz que os testes são muito importantes, é que são mesmo muito importantes. E aquilo, e a tabela dos tempos, num fim de semana de testes, num dia de testes, aquilo é crucial para a vida de uma equipa durante a época. Agora, portanto, equipa de testes, é aquilo que a gente vai falando e que as pessoas dizem, é só testes. Não, são os testes. São os testes.
Completamente.
São muito importantes, completamente.
Olha, a Mafalda diz aqui uma coisa que ainda está a aterrar da viagem maravilhosa e que proporcionámos e que vocês nos proporcionaram a nós também.
Completamente.
Eu agradecia ontem ou antes de ontem, já nem sei muito bem, no grupo do Messenger, porque se nós somos o motor disto, isto não funciona só a ar, não é? Funciona a gasolina e a gasolina são vocês que nos seguem. E é incrível porque tivemos 200 e qualquer coisa pessoas por aqui,
250.
250
Sempre ali,
e neste
pum,
momento,
pum.
passado uma hora e tal, estão à mesma 200 pessoas.
Yeah.
Ou seja, vocês, olha, um aplauso para vocês porque, pá, brutal, não é? Se não fosse isto, nós não fazíamos.
E sabemos que há seguidores que têm dificuldades no inglês, nós também não o falamos perfeito.
Pois, na inglês ali do
Eu
camarim.
de vez em quando começava aqui a falar com as mãos
Yeah.
e a moto está engasgada. Olha, mas ontem não, antes de ontem, decidimos nos juntar os três e tivemos aqui em modo de preparação do podcast, porque não queríamos que, isto para vocês perceberem também o porquê de às vezes se calhar algumas questões não serem feitas ou não se falar logo diretamente, conta-nos do Miguel ou conta-nos do campeonato, ou o Peck ganhou bem, ou o Quartararo é que perdeu mal. Queríamos fazer aqui um podcast algo diferente também para o Simon. O Simon é uma pessoa, é um convidado diferenciado, não é? É o convidado, não estando aqui obviamente a deitar ninguém baixo, mas é o convidado do ano do Slipstream. E aliás, calhar cada vez que trazemos um convidado vamos sempre dizendo isto, não é? Mas não, realmente o Simon, pela função que tem, por ter sido piloto, por já ter ganho uma corrida do Mundial, obviamente é aquele piloto, é aquele convidado bestial que poderíamos trazer. E nesse sentido tentámos também aqui criar um podcast que fosse aliciante para ele e que ele não viesse aqui apenas e só debitar matéria dentro daquilo que obviamente que ele não faz, mas queríamos que fosse agradável para ele e aliciante. E sinceramente, olha, queria dar os parabéns também ao António e ao Rui, porque acho que conseguimos.
Acho que conseguimos.
Também acho que sim.
Missão impossível que transformamos em missão possível. Portanto, isto também... Acho que
encadeamos muito bem o podcast nesse aspecto. Falamos dele, do início, como ele entra no mundo da Dorna, depois falamos das máquinas, o que tinha que ser falado, passamos para os pilotos e terminamos com o Miguel e com aquilo que a gente sabe. E depois com as perguntas dos nossos seguidores, que é super importante. E acho que correu muito bem.
Não podiam ser todas, como
não
é
podiam ser todas,
espero que desculpem. Tentei escolher aquelas que não foram feitas também, que não foram respondidas durante o podcast e que tinham alguma diferença aqui e ali daquilo que seria o normal e que o Simon talvez não estivesse à espera. Tentei ir por aí também. E olha, e agora tenho que aterrar, como dizia a Mafalda, agora temos que aterrar, não é?
Agora temos que ver o que é que vamos fazer a seguir, portanto vamos ter aqui 2 meses difíceis, não é?
Agora temos que ir de férias, malta, agora temos que ir tirar
a seguir ao Simon pode vir quem quiser. Pronto, olha, não sei, as nossas portas estão sempre abertas. Vamos ver o que é que segue. Estamos a trabalhar, continuamos aqui a trabalhar em alguns contactos. Vamos ver como é que nós conseguimos abrir o ano, mas temos grandes expectativas para abrir o ano, sendo que, como o Rui diz, agora vamos entrar aqui um bocadinho em modo de férias, porque também precisamos, obviamente, porque também as ideias depois não surgem também com facilidade se nós estivermos focados sempre na próxima semana, e vem aí o grande desafio que vai ser Portimão também, e que temos que que trabalhar, temos que preparar e pronto, olha, vamos ver o futuro.
Se calhar depois vamos
logo
fazer um
vemos.
vídeo aí com os best-ofs, os melhores momentos deste podcast, então, Zé, e depois dá para,
O
como
meu
é
computador
gravado,
está crashado, tem o programa
Dá.
crashado por causa da placa gráfica, pá. Mas vamos tentar fazer qualquer coisa.
e aqui depois sendo gravado dá para as pessoas já ativarem as legendas também, quem tiver mais dificuldades e consegue acompanhar.
Exato.
É isso, é nesse sentido.
Bom, malta,
Muito bem.
então vamos descansar. Estamos
Vamos
a
lá.
bater as 2 horas, que é o normal, não é? E acho que temos a missão cumprida hoje e vamos descansar. Eu diverti-me e acho
Também.
que vocês aí
Eu
em casa
também.
e vocês os dois também, acho que. E o Simon também, muito importante.
Eu também acho que
também
tenho
se
essa
divertiu.
sensação, estás a ver? Acho que ele gostou
Acho que sim.
de vir aqui, pode ter sido uma surpresa para ele e não ser esse tal a questão banal do então o Quartararo isto ou o Bagnaia aquilo, ou, não, acho que ele gostou nesse aspecto.
Pedrosa, obrigado.
Deus.
Dá um abraço ao
Obrigado,
Carlos.
companheiros. Um grande abraço
Vou
para
mandar
todos aí em casa.
um abraço e vamos falando. Vá.
E em
Adeus.
breve teremos cá também o Carlos um bocadinho. para falar um bocadinho.
Vamos aí arranjar qualquer coisa fixe para ele. Ele também percebe bastante de motos e vai ser também um conteúdo fixe para a moto.
Vamos embora que está na hora. Até amanhã, maltinha.
Vamos embora que está na
Tchau.
hora,
Está na
exatamente.
hora.
Um abraço.
Um abraço, adeus.
Um abraço.
O genérico outra vez. Hoje toca-me outra vez.
Pô, assim, vai lá,
Ah,
vai.
outra vez.
Tá bem.